Hi, everybody, and welcome to 2023. Hey, and Red Wings Rant, where
Tirades and impassioned, pleas.
Everything hurts and
Hey, no.
What is it?
We're
Hi,
tirades
everybody,
and
welcome to Red
impassioned,
Wings
please.
Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home.
Right here.
Um,
Did you guys survive? Are you okay? That was a slaughter out there. My God.
This has nothing to do with anything. It's baseless. But I really went into today like, man, we're going to beat these stupid Devils and make everyone realize that they were like they're sliding downhill, and I was like, we're gonna make everybody's opinion on the Devils we're just turning right off. We have that national game on TNT. We're gonna own tonight. We're gonna turn some heads for
we're gonna rub it right in
hockey fans in general.
That stupid
so...
jerk Biz's face for asking Larkin those stupid questions about, you gonna be a Red Wing next year, bud? Give us talk about that contract.
Oh man, I did want to talk about that. That is coming up.
God, I hate
Ketzel said he's tired of TNT. Mike, rank them real quick. Basketball, NBA on TNT, and NHL on TNT. Can you rank those for me real quick?
Wow. The apex of broadcasting versus the absolute toilet valley with a toilet with a chokehold too small that you can't even poop into. It's just farts. That's what the NHL broadcast is.
Yeah, I mean, we could go two different routes here. We could talk about that between period stuff, or the between the quarters. They call those quarters, right, Mike, in the NBA?
Yes.
Or we could just talk about broadcast in general. I mean, to bring in Panger, right? I mean, the guy is just a self-deprecation machine. I don't know how you build any confidence in why you're supposed to take his word for it when he'll turn right around and shit on his own opinion a minute later. I do the same thing, I guess, sometimes, but Panger he's at a different level. My man is shitting on his own goalie career every single time I listen to him call a game. And it didn't change tonight.
Well, look, listen, both of those, like the NHL one tries to emulate the NBA one because it's so successful. Like far and away, it's one of the best. It's the only like post and pregame show people actually watch, I would say. And they have people like Shaquille O'Neal on there. And the best segments are, when Shaq and Charles Barkley will call out like a modern day big man and say, you're a 7 foot tall fella. If you're not scoring 25 and getting 10 rebounds a game, you need to get out of this game because you're not trying hard enough. And people be like, damn, but it's them speaking the truth. Those questions to Larkin, that's a desire to try and be part of a gotcha media. Like, what is he supposed to say? Those aren't like probing, prying questions about who he is, maybe we'll get something interesting out of him as a person. No, you're just being a jerk. There's nothing to the nature of the sport related to those questions. They're personal things that obviously he's not going to answer those. You're just going to make it, uncomfortable for him. And Larkin is a lot of things, but being a guy who can deflect stuff like that with humor, it's not really in his wheelhouse. And the one part of that interview, no, I was really relieved at the end when he was like, "Oh, cool." When they kind of said something, and he's like, "Oh, I can just walk away from this." Great. And I really wanted him to just walk away.
I think I want to play it real quick too for anybody that hadn't gotten a chance to see it or hear it. So this is the NHL. On TNT, they're between the periods. They're calling it the face-off with Bissonette from like Spittin' Chicklets and what have you, and of course our beloved captain Dylan Larkin. I guess facing off.
We got no audio.
What? Well, there should have been audio because everything was set up to have audio.
Yeah, try it one more time. Maybe We just had to plug the internet back in and out.
Any hoozles.
Jersey on next year. I
Here
know
we
you
go.
guys are in contract negotiations going back and forth, but how are things proceeding? And do you think that you guys are going to meet somewhere?
I sure hope so. You know, I got a game to play in 15 minutes right now. I'm just, you know, excited to be wearing a jersey playing in the NHL tonight. And yeah, you know, I hope that I'm here.
Dylan, just tell him. You can tell me it was. Just tell him it's none of his business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
Just tell him
you'll be
it's none of
polite
his
about
business.
this. Yeah. You can.
I don't even know what to say.
If your PR guy wants to answer it, you can hand over the headset to him.
Yeah.
Dylan,
So
don't worry.
I got permission to leave?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
get out of
All
here.
right. See you guys. Yeah.
Now we'll go.
Just a real piece of crap. Now there's still an element here, like I don't know, could someone possibly argue that you get these opportunities, you got to take it? But I just don't. This isn't that. You know what I mean? Like, this is a between period thing, or this is a pregame thing. This is a between periods, but this is pregame. Like, this is supposed to be fun. And I was asking you about the TNT broadcast for the NBA, only because it's just constantly fun. And these guys just aren't fun. They already feel like old curmudgeons. Even Bissonette, who's just like staring into the camera angrily, trying to get an answer from Dylan. If you guys missed it, like, you know, just jump on, if you're on the podcast, I mean, jump on over to YouTube so you can see like the look that Biz is giving Larks. Just doesn't,
Yeah, it's very
I don't
belligerent. Yeah, it's very belligerent. Oh, why do you give the headset to your PR guy? Like, why are we attacking Larkin? That's not how these negotiations go. He's not going to try and publicly, you know, negotiate with you of all people. Yeah, and Ketzel on the money. Good answer from a captain. Yeah, it was you know, very what's the word I want to say? Like, non-committal, all about the, you know, general idea of being in the league and being on a team.
he was definitely caught off guard, but he was as pragmatic as he could be, right?
Yeah.
Curtis doing the job for us. Hit that like button, y'all. If you're hanging around, let's see if we can get more people to show up tonight.
If you survive that game, let us know. We got two special friends of the show here today, Justerini and Brooks, which I guess are the two names that put together J&B Scotch.
Oh man,
I had a nice look. I had my pink mug with hot cocoa in it. Now it's sullied.
You're reminding me right now that I caved, and when Meyer had their they had a sale on their bourbon cream for the holidays, so post-holiday kind of sale.
This is the opposite of bourbon cream. This is just straight fiery poison. That's what I just put in that cocoa.
Bourbon
Matt,
cream,
were there
very
some highlights out of this game? Because I have one. Give me two. I got two.
What's your highlight? How do I set up Mike's highlight while I'm in control?
No, I don't necessarily need a game highlight. I'm just saying, as a
okay.
viewer, my experience was highlighted by two things. One, the organist playing the Game of Thrones theme. I don't know if you overheard that on the broadcast.
Yeah, I've heard it a couple of times.
It was pretty strong. Number two is Fabbri didn't really look rusty at all. He looked like the Fabbri that we know and love. He was a -2, but he's right there in a lot of the plays. And I think he and Berggren, man, if you could put them with Vrana, that'd be a pretty cool line. Because both those guys like making plays, and I think they just needed one more guy to maybe get a few more shots on that. But I thought Fabbri had a pretty strong first game back.
For whoever noticed, I'm like wiping a booger off my screen because I'm like, is that the puck? And there's just this big old brown smudge in the middle of my laptop. My two highlights came from Elmer Soderblom, who did this twice tonight, and it just kind of stinks.
Real quick, before you get into it,
I put it on Twitter and I said, couple of great chances were set up tonight by Soderblom. Just not a couple of great finishes.
If anyone saw that, by the way, that was a real reaction to J&B mixed into my beautiful hot cocoa. I made a real sour, yucky lemon face. But go ahead, man.
Man, if there are two people that cover hockey that never belong on Spit and Chicklets, it's the two of us. I mean, yeah, just nothing like too special here. This is just like Soderblom making me feel good. I feel like I'm constantly fighting on Twitter to get folks to make sure, let's start some sort of campaign. I want to see my boy Elmer stick around, and there seems to be some clumsiness, and there's been some call-outs, like get him down to, he's the guy to pick to go down to the AHL because he needs to get things figured out. But I would challenge to say, why isn't the best place for him to figure things out with Coach LaLonde? That to me was my argument a couple of weeks ago, Mike, when I missed you on an episode. But at least highlight wise, I'm still getting some highlights from our boys, so I get to hang my head on that. I do like. There's something I've noticed. I don't know if the rest of you guys have noticed this. Soderblom's attack to the boards, because he's so big. I caught it today, and I brought it up to someone else, and they were like, "Oh my God, yes, you're right." But it's almost like part of a show. It's part of the Soderblom show. He has to really truck to get moving, and we know it's because he's moving this huge frame, right? So when he's coming at the boards, and you really get to see it when he's coming down at, like, towards the camera, down at those boards. But when he's trucking and you see the 6'8" frame, look for it. When he's coming down, like, towards the camera, his shoulders are just so huge. You can see the players, his opponent, start to shrivel. It is such an amazing thing to watch happen. And I challenge you guys to look out for it, because this is going to be one of those things where you're always trying to, like, put a finger on, like, what does the unicorn bring to the game? And it's going to be all these new things. It's going to be all these things that we can't really put a finger on yet, or, like, prepare ourselves for, because we haven't seen it yet. But the 6'8" frame of Elmer Soderblom. By the way, too, he only did it once or twice today, but we know, like, we've seen him do it for 60, or I guess not a full 60 minutes, but through an entire game. You got to figure things have to get worked out. But we saw it again today against New Jersey. But he was ragging the puck, pulling it behind the net, bringing 2, sometimes 3 New Jersey Devil defenders on his path, trying to get in his way, making sure guys get open because he's got 3 guys on him. It's just, God, it's so much fun to watch. I hope you guys are all on board. But the reason we're talking about guys getting sent down and whatnot was this was actually, this game, 5-1, we lose. There was a Lucas Raymond highlight. I got to be honest, I never even saw the goal. I was setting up for the episode. I was like, whatever. Let's just get this going.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Larkin play, and then he, found a way to center it, and Raymond just had to have a stick down and kind of popped it in on a power play. So we did break that power play goalless streak, so that was kind of nice.
What's that excited enough? So anyway, that's because we have actual news that we can talk about this week, and there's so many different things we want to discuss. Starting with, I guess we could go with the easy one, but it went well tonight, and I think I should have prepared this comment with at least thrown out there that there was, I believe, a 27 save night for Nedeljkovic down in Grand Rapids tonight. So gets that first, he's going through a conditioning stint, right? So he's gone so many games, and we were talking about this actually in the last episode, Mike, of I was actually asking, and now it makes perfect sense. I was like, why wasn't Nedeljkovic sent down? Well, it's because now they have big Grand Rapids has a huge chunk of games right now, so it makes sense to send Nedeljkovic down for his 3-game conditioning stint. Now, all right, makes sense. He's been out since December 6th. Send him down, give him some shots to play. I thought the big thing here, Mike, for Nedeljkovic, and especially starting tonight.
Yeah.
And maybe you tell me what you're thinking, because I realize I've been talking for like 10 straight minutes.
Matt, I've been on the show before. I know how it goes. What's up?
Just not getting blown out tonight. Am I right?
It is astounding how many Yzerman moves seem to pan out. The other day, we got that news that Vrana was going to go on waivers so that we could get the rest of the roster figured out. And, basically within a span of about 48 hours, we held on to 3 goalies. And then after a deadline passed, then we sent out Nedeljkovic out for conditioning. Vrana, shockingly, nobody put a claim in on him. The forwards that people were like, oh, it would have been a very easy move, to send down Berggren or to send down Soderblom. Both those guys were making positive contributions today. As far as tough roster decisions, what do we even do with Fabbri? Do we even want to call him, back up? Is this a guy that we try to move as in the trade, in a trade as soon as possible? And he's arguably one of our better players today in a game where most of the guys kind of played like crap, or we got blown out. So yeah, Nedeljkovic, he's basically just a part of he's a another piece of that Yzerman wheel that just keeps on turning, and it feels like arguably all 4 of the moves that he did or did not make happened to pan out. So once again, Nedeljkovic being part of that, that working theory that Yzerman is the smartest man in the room, because it worked again.
Right now. That was my point to saying at least he didn't get blown out tonight. Because I think they are looking to have one of these guys.
I mean, this is the night to get blown out, right? This is the night to do it. If you're on a conditioning assignment, he hasn't really played in like a month. What? Wasn't it since like November 30th?
No, December 6th.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is the night to get blown out. You haven't really, faced, live bullets in a while, and now you're, facing minor league live bullets. I don't know what kind of focus to expect out of a guy like that who hasn't played in a while. And then he's going to the minors. But didn't seem like he, held his own. And I don't know if he's about to come back and, Husso, let alone, Hellberg. But yeah, it's a positive start.
I guess. Well, I want to finish the thought here, and the reason I even asked the question first was, did it just matter if he got blown out? It was because I think Yzerman's looking for one of these guys to help force the issue, is what I was saying. So, like, LaLonde made the point a couple weeks ago that, he's giving everybody their fair shake, and right now, Veleno just ended his 6-game point streak, the longest point streak, I think, of his career. Soderblom, at least in my opinion, has been killing it. Berggren's done enough to just, all right, that's done. We're not even judging this anymore. He is a full-time NHLer. And Nedeljkovic just struggled a ton at the NHL, in his NHL games this year. So to my point, like, if he got blown out tonight, I feel like you are leaning in a direction of a nice, easier looking choice as opposed to, now a 3-1 game, and we're still kind of looking like, well, who do you get rid of? And on the same night that Husso puts up, maybe not his best looking game of the year, something where I think we had a pretty strong start in the third period, and a great thing would have been to keep the game close, and just the pucks kept going by him. So not. You couldn't blame this whole game on Husso, but not his strongest game of the year. So all of this happens, and you're not even really turning around and saying like, oh, wow, one of these things is figuring itself out. None of it's figuring itself out. You know what I mean? So I guess that's where I'm coming from. And like a blowout tonight for Nedeljkovic would have been like that first movement of like a chess piece, in my opinion.
First move piece. Do you mean like as far as moving him out of town?
For one of these guys, yeah. They can't all stay. Somebody's got to go.
I mean, where would, AC/DC be with the 3 lead guitarists? It's just it's kind of how
I
this
guess.
business runs, Matt. Sometimes you need three starting goaltenders on one NHL team.
Wait, are you missing something? I mean, we still have a Tuesday coming along. We still have Vrana to figure out. If we're gonna have those guys on our NHL roster, we're not gonna be running with 3 goaltenders.
I mean, I did say 3 lead guitarists in AC/DC, so I was trying to kind of agree with you, man. I'm saying it doesn't work.
Oh, you know what's funny? I thought you were trying to make some comment about having a lead guitarist, a rhythm guitarist, and a bass guitarist.
No,
that's
why I said lead guitarist.
That happens.
No,
I gotcha.
Thanks,
I
Matt.
gotcha.
Matt, I think you need to get sent down to Grand Rapids. That was terrible.
Thanks.
All right, no problem. Yeah, I mean, I think the weird thing about today is we were so worried about, who do we send down? And then after you get blown out 5-1, it's kind of like, a lot of these guys could potentially be expendable. I mean, it didn't look like there was anybody outside of, maybe, Larkin doing his usual and, the Matas and maybe Hronek on defense, playing really well. It's almost like these decisions are almost for the worse, becoming difficult because we need somebody to stand out, and hopefully we start to see somebody stand out sooner rather than later, and kind of lead this team out of the bottom third of the league.
Jim throwing out there that Vrana wasn't visible. So, Jim, I'm going to take your word on that because I didn't watch any of the Griffins game. All I know, I think he was like a minus. He's a -1 on 2 shots. There was something else here in the comments I like that you guys called out. Dan B, after the Griffins scored the second goal, Vrana was on the ice, but 0 celebration with other guys. That's... again, can't confirm or deny. Real bummer if that did happen. Because a couple of you guys have put on here, Vrana could be traded. I think somebody else threw on here that Vrana's done with the Wingdings in the comments somewhere in here. I tried to figure this thing out.
I don't know how he's going to be traded when nobody wanted him for nothing.
They didn't want him.
Unless you want to give up another $5 million or so contract. I'm just saying the opportunity was there and nobody took it.
Yeah, I think it's just the difference of like what are you going to get from Vrana, and if he shows that there's some improvement, then all that conversation changes at that point. But Steve didn't make this move to get rid of Vrana. The problem was just that he risked losing Vrana, which is where all the conversation of like Vrana is now expendable on this team, which I don't know if too many people would have made the argument that he was a forever Red Wing going forward. But he made that move that put Vrana at risk in losing him. So that has now defined Vrana as expendable. But again, he wasn't putting him on waivers to move him. He was putting him on there because he wanted him to continue playing in the AHL. So it's a bit, there's some variables in here I think that make this super hard to like put a firm finger on like what's going on or how to define each little moment. But I know for sure we can say now Vrana is expendable because the risk was put out there. That's like the only thing we really know for sure. But it also does mean that now we can't be shocked when a trade comes along. And some of these mentions too of no celebrating with his teammates, which kind of blows, doesn't make me feel super confident that we are going to get a long Red Wing stint with Vrana moving forward from today. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to talk about because I for sure, like today you look at, 5-1 loss and you're like, I would love, what I'd love to have on this team, Mike? Somebody that is just all about scoring goals. The last couple of seasons comparatively with his goals per 60 is up there with Austin Matthews. Because even what you lose defensively with Vrana, you just gain so much more with his ability to just whip the puck at the net and put him in, put us on the board. It helps. It feels that's the whole change of the game, your momentum, conversations, all about those odd pucks that Vrana whips at the net we see go in, where we're just like, wow, I can't believe from that angle Vrana was able to put that in. I can't believe with one arm he was able to put that in. I can't believe outstretched like that around another player he was able to put that in. So many times we said that over his 40 games with the Red Wings so far. It's the kind of thing I think this team needs. So it's really tough to sit here and go, all right, we're looking at a guy whose days are probably numbered based on recent decisions. But I also think that Steve's going to be very happy to see everything work out with Vrana if it does and he sticks around. But again, the main thing to take away from this is that Steve has no problem risking Vrana and losing him. Or I shouldn't say he has no problem with it. He's willing to do it. For all I know, he was biting his fingernails and hardcore sweating all day today, up until 2:00, hoping that nobody was going to claim him. But
no, I don't think there are any fingernails being bit. I mean, we already know the moves that he could have made, and we know that Soderblom is. We love him to death, but he's not a perfect player, and if it just made the roster management a little bit easier, and you're not putting up the risk of somebody you value very highly, there were opportunities to send guys down, and they didn't do it. They said, no, it's more valuable to the Red Wings to have Soderblom and Berggren up on the main roster for these 2 games. It's more valuable for them to get these 2 games than Vrana's Red Wing career.
Yeah, that's actually
two regular season games for 2 young guys who have 2-way contracts. It's more valuable for them to be up here for these 2 meaningless games for a team in the bottom third of the league than it is for us to protect Vrana at this juncture. That's what Yzerman said.
Yeah, that's an amazing way to put that extra level of statement on that. It says a lot about Soderblom, says a lot about Berggren too, but I think, Mike, you'd agree that it says even more about that relationship with Vrana going forward?
Yeah, and it's tough because obviously there's certain things that we can't really broach, and it's none of our business really what put Vrana on the shelf for the first 6-8 weeks of the season. Not really our business, but yeah, I mean whatever transpired, it made Steve confident that this guy's going to clear waivers, and I have my most important players playing on my team right now. And you got a comment on here from GLJ. Let's get Vrana back up to speed and score goals for this team before we call him a goner. Will only raise his value for a potential trade otherwise. Yeah,
I really like this comment because it took me. It was a little bit of a roller coaster.
No, this comment, I got to say, the Red Wings probably lead the league in owning guys that are more valuable to them than they are to other teams. I'm looking at Vrana. I'm looking at Zadina. I'm looking at Nedeljkovic. I'm looking at Sherratt. I'm looking at Fabbri. Guys where I feel like we'd lose those trades. But,
Well, I'm going to do this. We're going to jump into a quick ad, and then we'll be back, and we'll kind of reset the roster conversation here because like we talked about with Nedeljkovic, there's still more moves and more guys coming back, so we'll kind of play that game and look at the roster tonight and see how you make those moves. Hockey fans, it is time to light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook. It's an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pre-game money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THP and bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right. So what we're looking at is tonight's roster. First line, Rasmussen, Larkin, Perron. Second line, Berggren, Kopp, Raymond. Third line, Fabbri back in. Suter and Sundqvist. Fourth line, Kubalik, Foligno, and Soderblom. So what we have to do, guys, and I want to hear in the comments, who you are removing as we... Let's say we don't trade Vrana. He's here to stay. Bertuzzi's coming back. You know what? We'll throw in Zadina in there too, just for funsies. I would say that you can leave him as an odd man out if you want. He's out there. So you guys in the comments, let me know. Who are you taking out, and who's sticking on this lineup? And you know the names that we're thinking of. You know, we know Larkin's not coming out. We know Raymond's not coming out. I don't know.
Perron.
You could pick Fabbri. You could say, you know what? I didn't like tonight. I'm done. Bye, Fabbri. That's a possibility. Maybe you're like, wow, Kubalik really softened and hit a cold streak here. I'd like to see that get heated up again. So maybe he needs some time. He needs some time to rest or something like that. I don't know. Tell me what you're thinking. But Mike, I guess top level on this conversation. Before you give us any names, do you think, as it's been stated in press conferences, that LaLonde and Steve are actually stressing about this, or do you think that they're like good? Like this is something that they've already had figured out. If this becomes the situation, here's what we're doing. Here are the guys that are making it. Here are the guys that are gone.
Do I think they're stressing about this right now? Is that your question?
Yeah.
It does feel a lot like this team is just expecting someone else to get injured. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of urgency, especially with them putting the flag in the ground for Berggren and Soderblom, saying, "Oh, we'll just play them. They've just made the team now." And it's like, I know we love them too, but if we're gonna move some guys, we got to get some games played by these guys we're gonna move so that they can showcase that they still have some skills. Ipso facto, we might have to send out a Berggren or a Soderblom. And we're like, no, we'll figure it out. We'll put Larkin on waivers so we can get it. Well, what? And just some wild bananas move like that. So do I think they're stressing about it? I don't, but I think the most stressful part of Steve's day is it feels like he's chosen his top 12 guys. We're looking at him right now, outside of maybe Zadina, who's cheap, and he is. It's probably gonna be a little bit easier to do a healthy scratch for him when he even is ready. And it just kind of feels like Vrana and Bertuzzi are on the way out. It doesn't. I mean, we've kind of learned with Vrana. I'm going to be very surprised to see what they do with Bertuzzi. He's had an unfair, season so far. I think he broke one arm and then he injured the other arm just taking pucks and honestly doing what Derek LaLonde was asking of him, right? To kind of be that body taking pucks for the good of the team. And how is he rewarded in a contract year? Is missing already more than half of our games. And the few games when he did come back under LaLonde's watch, he had some spots playing on the fourth line and, kind of underwhelmed. He, didn't quite have that burst and that energy that we're used to seeing out of Bertuzzi when he's at his best. Yeah, I mean, as far as names, if Bertuzzi isn't able to unseat Soderblom, then I don't know what to do. I love Soderblom. I still know that he has flaws and he's a young guy on a two-way. It feels like an obvious move, but I don't know what Yzerman's got in his little coconut up there. I don't know if he's saying, nope, I'm good. I'm gonna find a way to move this guy. So it would normally be Soderblom, but I don't know. I'm not smart enough to be privy to the Yzer plan.
Well, we'll run through the comments here. Dan B going with Sundqvist and Suter. I like those picks too, but you see Sundqvist might serve a different purpose, and Suter's just playing so good recently. Even though, like tonight he had a chance right out front that if that puck had been angled, I mean, like 3 degrees difference from how it fell from his stick, we would have been looking at a goal a lot sooner than that Lucas Raymond goal. Blake thrown in there. Suter. Ernie was scratched tonight. Can't forget that. Berggren and Elmer sent down. Blake's just getting rid of everybody. He's
cleaning house, brother.
I know. That's more than we need.
Throw that comment back up there, though.
Yeah.
This is the one I would think you'd expect, right? The only problem is with Suter is I know we could put Rasmussen back at center, but I know that they keep talking about, every article I read is Larkin is still nursing this injury and he can't really take faceoffs, so they want to have Rasmussen available to do that for Dylan. So I mean, if you're scratching Suter, Vrana and Bertuzzi do not take faceoffs. So you're going to be a man down in that area. That's why Suter was going to be at the top of my list too. But he's played pretty well late, and he's one of our few faceoff guys. There's GLG thrown in. Fabbri can take faceoffs after his performance tonight. Switch him and Raz. Could be the case.
Jim Johnson thrown out there. Ernie was scratched. Could be waived. Berggren stays. Soderblom goes down. Yeah, I think, like you said, Mike, I think the choice is to just send Soderblom down, and as much as that pains.
It's the one with the least amount of drama, and we're not risking putting more guys on waivers, to hang out in Beer City on the West Coast.
Now Dan B shipping off Vrana and Burt. I like that's at least that's going to be a fun podcast day. That's going to be a hell of a day. Ketzel, I want Berggren on left wing 1. Sneezy Wheezy, trade Larkin if the return is good. He's a good 2C playing 1C minutes. Shit. Here we go. Mike, it's happening. We had another person in here. Chris C, there it is. Hey Chris. Our top line is a second line on an elite team. It's starting, Mike. We're back at the Dylan Larkin does not deserve his $10 million contract that's coming his way. I gotta say, guys, I still, we're looking at an injured Larkin right now, and whenever he's healthy, we see him go beast mode and just own games.
That's what we saw last season when he had his line mates healthy, and it was a top 6 first line in the whole league.
Yep.
Top 6. So I don't know what else you want from Larkin.
Legit
I'm sorry he's not the number 1 center on the number 1 line. But if he's top 6 for first line centers, I'm good.
Legit complaint.
Also,
injuries?
You know what a second line center is? Cop. So no, don't put those 2 guys in the same bucket. I'm sorry. Larkin is an elite player with elite speed, leadership, goal scoring ability, defense. No, not true.
Chris C, Suter prime trade bait for what? Oh, he's actually responding to Ketzel. I wanted to bring this up because I was like, who's like, how do you sell Suter, and what are you willing to take back? If you're just trying to move him, I think Jim's got it nailed here. Waiving Suter does seem like a pretty sure thing to me. If we're talking about what's on that list right below Soderblom. I think Suter's a part of that conversation.
It is so difficult for this Detroit Red Wing team to own, retain, and develop the center position. As much as I, am whelmed by Suter, not really underwhelmed. I'm just whelmed. And I know that we have Rasmussen. I know that we have Fabbri available, but this is not a team just oozing with centers. It's a very difficult position to develop elite talent for.
Here,
so before we get rid of them, Matt, if you're gonna make a trade, it's gonna be a wing, and it's gonna be for a defenseman.
Let me read this off for you. These are all the guys that have played center in the NHL. Ready?
Okay. Right.
Larkin.
Okay.
Andrew Kopp.
Okay.
Robby Fabbri. Pius Suter. Oscar Sundqvist. Rasmussen. Joe Veleno. And, of course, our boy, Elmer Soderblom. So... Oh, I'm sorry, not in the NHL. Let me scratch that. Of course, Soderblom has probably gotten like one face-off, but I meant in their hockey careers, not in the NHL. There,
Yeah,
but
Matt,
point
don't
being,
give us the Brandon Inge argument. You know, he's a catcher and a pitcher and a third baseman and a left fielder. Brandon Inge. No.
I'm allowing it. I hear what you're saying, but I think what your response is to like bringing up me throwing out all these guys that have been centers before. I don't know. I don't think it's the same as the Brandon Inge argument. So
you call Soderblom a center, Matt. Come on.
Yeah, he played center in the SHL. There's no problem with that. He's a year removed from it.
Okay.
I can only tell you a fact. That's all I'm doing right now. I can only tell you
we have a team of Brandon Inges when it comes to the center position.
Yeah, but to the point that you need to keep Pius Suter because we struggle with centers, that's not the answer. You don't elevate Pius to like the second or first line, so we're fine. We're good. Suter is on the list of, I would say, the top 5 things that could happen here to solve this. Soderblom, Berggren, of course, in that top 5. Suter getting waived. Ernie getting waived. That's 4. I'm drooling here.
Can I ask, in all these fantasies where we're moving, members of the current squad in trades, what is the first
fantasy?
What is the first thing that you're trying to acquire? Position-wise, it's a center.
In any of these movement of players,
is it a center or a defenseman? Yeah,
a defenseman. Absolutely a defenseman. Is that the opposite of what you wanted me to say?
No, I wasn't trying to lead the witness. I was genuinely curious. I just the spot that we have the most excess, where we can trim some fat, is on the wing.
Mike
Bedard.
A's just spamming the comments now with Bedard. We know.
I mean, after games like tonight, yeah, you definitely start talking about Bedard again. So,
come on, lottery. All right. But yeah, I think you land on defenseman with that. That's what I'd want. I don't think I'm moving these guys with all of the forward issues we have right now and saying, well, we got to pick up we got to trade for another forward. I guess, yeah, that's where my head goes. I mean, and my first thought and my second thought, like giving it, like going up and down the lineup, looking at the injuries, looking at the guys who are coming back, and gosh, even what we have down in the minors with, potentially at some point next year, you'd like to see Albert get a shot. I think we know Edvinsson's getting a good, healthy shot next year. But even that being said, I would go defenseman first. Right now, I think what you're getting back in a trade, you're more likely to solve a defenseman problem than a forward problem. And you could find some solutions too, like in the I've never, God, I don't know if I'm ready to say this. We were not super stoked, Mike. I'm going to put you on this. With the Sherratt signing from that perspective of advanced analytics. And I kind of talked myself into it with all of the power that he brings to a lineup. However, we've seen a lot of turnovers. We've seen some mistakes. There was some juicy one he gave up earlier in the game. That was going to be one hell of a chance, and he did a good job keeping the puck in and then passed to the guy right in front of him. So I wouldn't say... I don't think going back to like the conversation of like, oh, an elite team has Dylan Larkin on line number 2. I don't think an elite team, as much as we love Jake Wallman in the gritty, I don't think an elite team has Jake Wallman on the first pair. And some elite teams passed on Ben Sherratt when they had an opportunity to trade for him. And of course, Jordan Osterley, we love him, Dearborn Heights boy, but that's not doing it either. That is not a long-term solution. Mike A thrown out there after his Bedard comments. I like Wallman, but a third pair, absolutely. There's a lot of guys on this team that I think are going to work out great in a bottom six, bottom pair situation. But you just can't rely on so many of these guys to be in your top six, to be in your top pair, and not expect to get nights like tonight. So
yeah, I mean, just before we start putting the whole team on waivers, I just wish that we could
two guys on waivers and
I
very
wish that we could
legitimate
see
options.
And before we demote Larkin to a third line center, on the Blackhawks or some crap, I wish we could see them healthy, see what they look like with Bertuzzi, healthy with Vrana, healthy. Because I mean, it's as much as we love these young guys. I mean, right now it's a lot of middle six guys. Okay, our top point producer is Larkin with 33, and he's tied for 63rd in the league in points. So just put it in perspective. This isn't a bunch of guys, coming out like gangbusters. We need all the scoring help we can get. So before we bundle Vrana and Bertuzzi in a trade that we lose so that we give up some cap, we get some cap space back, can we see what two of our better goal scorers look like when they're healthy playing with Larkin?
Is there any way we can package
Jim Johnson, I think, is right on base with me, but just looking at a different part of the team. So he's saying 4 of our current D are third pairing. I think a lot of our forwards right now are very good second, third line guys. I don't know if we have a lot of first line guys, but we might have some coming off, the injured list here.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of guys that work out like they're serviceable, but then the holes, the cracks start to show like they did tonight. So for a good chunk of the season so far, we've been telling her. And Mike, can I remind you of something? Like
Can I remind you of something? Matt, we were at opening night when this team was mostly healthy, and my God, were they exciting. So can we get healthy again, and then kind of hit the reset button and on our dismissal of a third of the roster?
Well, I was going to say, like 3 weeks ago, we were talking about how we had the same amount of points a season ago with the same amount of games played. And things just started to, come apart at the seams, and we just got more and more sad as the season went on. This game did nothing to tell me that wasn't going to happen. And it does kind of feel like we're losing control somewhat of this roster a little bit here. So I don't know. I don't know why I brought that up. I feel like that's way too negative for this crowd. We got to bring some hope in here, but that might be why Jared threw out there. He wants to trade Matt.
Trade Matt. No, I just this is not the best of times right now. We have to see what they look like when they're healthy. And then I think we even knew when they were healthy to start the season that the spot where it seemed like we had some excess opportunities for making moves was on the wing and trying to shore up the defense. So trading wings for defensemen. And now that guys are starting to become healthy and we, got a shellacking by, the Devils, it kind of the same thing that we thought at the start of the season. I think we could have a top line. They've got it on the resume already from last season. We have some guys who could fill out a middle six. We've got some young guys who could fill out, the fourth line. But defensively, my God, we could use some help. And Dan B, we say what it will take to catch Chicago. Does he mean for Bedard?
Yeah. How heartbroken are we all going to be when Chicago just goes and gets Bedard after just a couple of bad seasons? They're going to be right back in it. Pieces of shit. Anyway, I brought up the Rapham chart from Evolving Hockey on Soderblom just to finish off my argument to keep Elmer, but it's just too much work to sit here and then have to pull up like Pew Suter and everybody. So I think we're getting close to wrapping up on this episode, but that's my final argument on Soderblom is that 4 out of his 5 bars on 5-on-5 hockey are now blue for everyone familiar with the Rapham chart. Of course, red, bad, blue, good. It's power play numbers, man. They fucking blow. But it's only 23 minutes of power play time, so we don't have to get too worked up about it. We'll just ignore that. You know what, guys? Just ignore that part. Let's just focus on the good one. Anyway. All right. So what did we decide on? We're going to waive Suter and then trade Bertuzzi, Fabbri. Let's throw in Perron, and we'll get 3 first-round picks from Chicago. Sound good? You guys on board? Chicago's going to try and make a push this season.
Can we also trade throw in Nedeljkovic? Throw in Nedeljkovic, and then they can throw in Soderblom, so we can have both the Soderbloms. We'll have the goalie Soderblom and the wing Soderblom.
There was an interesting little tidbit that this guy who covers the Vancouver Canucks shares, who's in the scouting booth every game, did point out Detroit, one of the teams checking out Quinn Hughes and Bo Horvat. So that's something that now exists in everybody's head. There you go.
They weren't looking at Pettersson?
I don't know. The trade block says no.
I know you're still making eyes at him, Matt. We all know.
I am, but I don't think Vancouver's they don't want me to look. He's at Comic-Con, and I'm trying to take a picture for free from the side of his booth, and there's a security guard coming up and blocking my camera. Okay. Right? Basically, I have to pay $300 to get Pettersson's autograph.
I have one thing I need from you before we end this show.
Oh, God.
I need you to admit that Fabbri looked okay today.
He did. Why did I?
Because you're kind of a Fabbri hater, if I may.
Oh, I did like, I think Greg Krupa tweeted out Fabbri doing Fabbri things, and it was just him throwing his body around on the ice. Like, yeah, there's a service that Robby Fabbri provides, but I am also well within my rights to call out when his defensive deficiencies cause us to lose hockey games.
Whoa!
That is fine. That is allowed. 100% that's allowed.
How dare you? Matt, we don't talk about plus minus on the show.
Jared. He doesn't want to face, or he doesn't want Pettersson. Here we
Jared,
go.
a big fan
Too
of
much
Pete
money
Suter.
for a statue of a defensive side. Statue of a defensive side. Jared, you spelled 2 wrong. All right, moving on. Jim throws out there. I'm sorry. Jim threw out there. We have the Panthers next. I will be at that game if any of you guys are going to be there. So if you guys want, just hit me up on Twitter. We can. I can ruin my wife's night and we can grab a beer together.
And, if anybody needs a break from this horrifying stretch of Red Wing hockey, next Friday I'm going to be at the Pista game. I bought tickets to watch Zion Williamson for, and he got injured again. Son of a bitch.
Mike, are the Lions, are they going to do it? Are we going to get a Seattle loss and a Lions victory on Sunday night?
Probably. This Lions team, all they've done is exceed expectations. So, yeah, why not? I'm excited to actually make it appointment viewing, and I'm going to watch from the first whistle to the final whistle, win or lose. They've earned my attention this week. They've done very well. Very proud.
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually excited. I think this is the last time I've been this excited for a Lions game, and of course it all depends on Saturday. I think that's when Seattle plays. Was probably our last playoff game, so this is pretty cool. So we might have a winning team in Day Trois. Oh boy.
Yeah, the expectations are really low. So I don't think that I'll be crushed if we get, annihilated by Green Bay in Green Bay. I will be super bummed when Seattle loses, though, and Green Bay wins.
I think I looked up, Mike, that we only have one more Wednesday night recording that will be at the end of a hockey game.
Okay.
So I would say look forward, everyone, to more energy because it won't be bedtime while we're recording for the next few Wednesdays. Good news. There's an I was going to end the show. Oh, my God. All right, everybody, hit that like button, subscribe if you want.
Is it Florida we got next?
Florida's next? Yeah, on Friday.
Okay. Is that home or away? I'm still waiting for my schedule to load.
I'm going to the game, so it's in Detroit.
Man, I know you live a wild life. You don't live like the rest of us. You're probably flying to Florida, having a night in Disney World with the Lions and Animal Kingdom or something. No?
I mean, if that's the vibe I give off, I'm kind of happy with that. I don't know if anybody else agrees with Mike, but I don't think I give off those vibes. I come to work and people make fun of my shoes and my pants, so I look like a bum.
Yeah, because they're fancy, man.
No.
Look at that headset.
I found out how much people look at other people's shoes, and more than like Quentin Tarantino. Like, they're looking at them and judging you. There's a whole conversation at work the other day, and I was like, what? I thought I could just wear brown shoes. Nope. People are judging you and your shoes all the time.
Wow. Good thing I have really cool shoes.
I don't.
Oh, no.
I have old man sneakers.
Oh, no. Get some Under Armours. I got my Randy Savages. I got my Pride shoes. I got my Detroit Lion colors. Oh,
yeah,
man, I'm rocking.
You could probably work. You could work where I work. I don't think anybody... I mean,
I'm more vain than you. Yeah.
I'm wearing a quarter zip that's like 2 sizes too big, so it'll...
You got your TC Tugger on. Yeah. I don't know how you're not making friends in your TC Tugger. All right.
I don't know. All right. Well, you guys have a good one. We'll see you guys next week. I'm pretty sure there isn't a Wednesday night game. And if there is, we'll be on at the same time. But I'm pretty sure we don't have one till February. So till then.
Thank you for hanging in there. This was a bloodbath, and
yeah, this was rough. Yeah,
appreciate all the comments. Yeah.
Love y'all. We'll see you next week.